Welcome into Tennessee Titans today. I am Tom Downey here with some early OTA winners and losers. Now, it's mostly winners. Even the losers aren't that bad, but that's how life tends to operate. So first up on our winners, how about Austin Hooper? The tight end, the free agent pickup this offseason has shown some promise this year as he and Tannehill appear to be building chemistry early in the voluntary OTAs. And for me, that's a pretty big deal because this is an organization that needs a better tight end than what they had last year. Now, Hooper's production in his final season in 2021 is not that indicative of what I think he can be for this organization. He was in part caught up by guys like David Njoku and others and wasn't quite 100%, but he has been a 1,000-ish yard receiver in the past. I doubt he hits that number this year, but I do think he has a better season in 2022 than his most recent year with the Cleveland Browns. Hooper is tight end 1 on this team. I think Jeff Swaim, not present at OTAs, is tight end 2, and then Chig Okonkwo, the rookie out of Maryland, is far more likely to end up being tight end 3, at least in the short term. Hopefully long term, he does take a step forward, and maybe a guy like Tommy Hudson, Ryan Izzo, Riley Moore make this roster, but this team is counting on Hooper, so the early praise of the chemistry between tight end and QB1 is a good sign. I want you to grade the signing, by the way, of Austin Hooper. We didn't get to talk that much about him because he signed in free agency and then it was other stuff had to go on that we had to focus on, so it's a good time to revisit this. How do you feel about the signing right now? A, B, C, D, or F? Time now for Dez Fitzpatrick. Yes, the former fourth-round pick who did not make the roster last year. Well, he's made some plays early on and has drawn praise from both head coach Mike Vrabel and quarterback Ryan Tannehill. That is a big deal for this organization as they have begun to drastically overhaul their wide receiver room. The leading returning receiver is Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, who we'll get to, NWI, more in depth in a second. But this team would love it if Dez Fitzpatrick, their fourth-round pick last year, gets cut. Eventually he's on the practice squad, plays in a handful of snaps, shows some semblance of flash, whatever, is able to make a bigger impact for this team. So early praise for Fitzpatrick. I hope that continues. The ideal outcome is that Fitzpatrick emerges quickly as at least wide receiver 4 for this organization, if not above that, given at least some semblance of uncertainty about what type of impact immediately Robert Woods and Treylon Burks will have, who will spend some more time on all three of these guys, actually, Woods, Burks, and NWI momentarily. But first, if you want more Titans OTA coverage, show it by sharing this video. We did some takeaways earlier this week. If you want more coverage next week, here's how the bosses have asked me to ensure that we get it. Is that you share this video. So what you can do is click the share button on this video, hit the Twitter icon, then tag me on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney, and then use hashtag TitanUp, and that way I'll know, after you, of course, send the tweet, that's the most important part there, that way I'll know you do want more OTA coverage here on Titans Today. All right, as promised, Robert Woods' turn here, the wide receiver traded from the LA Rams. He is out there at OTAs, and that's a big deal for me, a partial participant just over 6 months removed from his ACL tear. I don't think he's been the most fluid of movers at this point quite yet, at least with some of the drills, but he's out there. That's a huge win for Tennessee, and they need him quickly to make an impact because he is now the vet mentor, the vet presence on this organization. He didn't put up great numbers last year. Again, he missed like half the year due to a torn ACL, but he's consistently been roughly 85 to 90 catch football player, 1,000-yard guy the past 3 years outside of the 2021 injured season. So if he gets that level of targets, I would expect similar production for Tennessee, and that is really impactful given that you moved on from both A.J. Brown and Julio Jones this offseason. So how pumped are you guys for Robert Woods? Scale this for me, 1 to 10. 1 being you're like, oh, God, he's terrible, he's a bum, which I think is crazy. 10 being he's going to be the best receiver in the AFC South, which isn't actually the most wild potential outcome. I don't think it ends up happening, but it's doable. So let me know. How pumped are you for Robert Woods? Scale it 1 to 10. we're going to stick with receivers. I realize now that I pick like all the receivers and tight ends to talk about here on OTAs, but it's OTAs. The non-linemen tend to flash a little bit more, obviously, and that includes Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Now, NWI caught several passes from Tannehill and is trying to build off of that 2021 campaign, and I'm hopeful that he can. I think we would all feel better if the Titans weren't heavily relying on him, but he did show promise. And after all, he outplayed and produced Julio Jones last year, which is probably more of an indictment on Julio Jones. But if you can have what I call second breakout, kind of like second breakfast or dinner or lunch or whatever for NWI, that's a good thing, unquestionably, for Tennessee. Now, if you guys want more Titans videos all off-season long, hit that big red button and subscribe. Free daily videos here on the Tennessee Titans, so do not miss out. Hit that big red button and sub right now. Time for a surprising option here. That is kicker Caleb Shudak. Now, I am not sure if he's really going to end up making the roster for Tennessee. Of course, you got Randy Bullock in front of him, but he went 7 of 8 at the only open media OTAs. The miss was, I believe, from 53. I got the numbers here. Randy Bullock did not kick at OTAs, which, yeah, he's a veteran, whatever. Shudak was 7 of 8, hit from 33, 37, 41, 44, 46, 38, 45. Was short on a 53-yarder. Not ideal, but 7 of 8 as the young kicker is a noteworthy development. So I think Bullock wins this job, but just keep an eye on Caleb. And maybe if he continues to go 7 of 8 over and over again, or even better, maybe he could push for a job, much like how I think Ryan Stonehouse is going to push for a job as the UDFA punter. We're going to get to the losers here momentarily, but first, name a Titans OTA winner for me. Head down to the comments section and let me know. All right, we're going to talk more about Treylon Burks. If you watched our takeaways video on Wednesday, Tuesday, whatever it was, time's a flat circle when you have a 6-month-old at home, it is Treylon Burks. Now, just like at rookie minicamp, he had to leave practices for unclear reasons. Media was asking, well, is it allergies? And Mike Vrabel's like, I ain't talking about pollen allergies right now. Is it conditioning? And there was a non-answer there, too. So I don't know what's up with Treylon Burks. As I've said before, we are not in panic territory yet. And we're like at least a month or two away from it being panic territory. I can remember many an NFL player who has, for whatever reason, not always been out there. I'm reminded of Chad Ochocinco or Chad Johnson when he would just consistently leave games to go get an IV, and he was a baller for the Bengals. So I'm not panicking on Treylon Burks. But this team needs him out there. They need an instant impact. They have Super Bowl aspirations. When your first-round pick, your replacement, who will always be compared to A.J. Brown, isn't quite 100% for whatever weird reason, that is not ideal. I'm not panicking, but it is something we need to mention and at least monitor. So I want you to be honest with me. Are you concerned about Treylon Burks? Y for yes, N for no. I get vibes of you guys remember the Jamar Chase storylines last year of he can't catch, he's a bum, he's going to be in the CFL. Real takes from real people, by the way. We know how that turned out. I don't think we're quite to that level of disparity, but I think it's a similar-ish conversation. I am not concerned right now. At least not right now, but I do want to mention it. So sound off. Y for yes, N for no. Malik Willis, in particular with this, is not the player itself, but the Willis starting. Seems like Tannehill's had a good OTA so far. And Malik Willis has been who we thought he was. Some great highs and some lows. Some turnovers, some miscommunications on the snaps and handoffs and whatnot. He's simply not ready. That is the reality of where Malik Willis is as a quarterback. That also makes him a pretty good fit in Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill is the guy this year. Willis, we'll even see if he's active come week 1. He needs time. The Liberty offense that he ran, despite some awesome highlight reel plays, was not designed to be a good quarterback NFL developmental program. He did not attack the middle of the field. If you have the heat chart pulled up, it's like Reds on the outside, Blue in the middle. He took hole shots, covered 2 hole shots, vertical shots, scrambling drills. Like, he is dynamic. The arm is special, and there are the moments out there. But if we were hoping that Malik Willis was going to be a starter for this team in year 1, I think the only way that happens is if something went really, really wrong for Tennessee. So pick a QB, and we're focused on the here and now. Type MW for Malik Willis, or you can type in RT for Ryan Tannehill. My final loser here, and this is a bit speculative on my part, so you can yell at me in the comments if you want, is the offensive line. I have seen so many articles in recent days about Tennessee should sign this offensive lineman, and I'm inclined to agree, which makes me went, no one trusts them, do they? This offensive line has 3 proven starters. Taylor Lewan, Ben Jones, Nate Davis is also not at OTAs, whatever, he's a vet, it's fine. That leaves some semblance of competitions between Dylan Radins, Nicholas Petit-Frere, Aaron Brewer, Jamarco Jones. I don't trust it. I think Aaron Brewer's a backup. I think Jamarco Jones is a backup. I'm hoping one of those day 2 offensive linemen can emerge and be reliable pieces, but I agree with those articles. Go get me a new left guard. There are options out there. I don't trust what Tennessee has. And for a team that wants to run a lot of play action with their quarterback and wants to run the football a ton with Derrick Henry, you need a good offensive line. So before we go, our final question of the day. Name a Titans OTA loser for me in the comments section. Go ahead and sound off and be a hater in the comments.